order. The agenda has been distributed, and if I could have somebody move the recommendation that the agenda be adopted as presented, sorry, please. Thank you, Leanne. Seconded by Jim. Okay. And moving along, the minutes of the previous meeting, which was September 15th, 2021, the recommendation that the Planning Advisory Committee minutes for September 15th, 2021 be accepted as presented. If the committee members have had a chance to review the minutes, if somebody would be okay to move that, please. Thanks, Jim. Seconded by Leanne. Thank you. And we have 5 items on this evening's agenda. So starting with 5.1, the recommendation is being, that's presented is in regards to 733 Royal Crescent. And it's that the Planning Advisory Committee recommend that council approve the proposed consent application SEV 2021-02, subject to the following conditions. The balance of the outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, shall be paid to the town. An acceptable reference plan or legal description of the severed lands and the deed or instrument conveying the severed lands demonstrating the new property lines for both parties shall be registered and submitted to the town. And with that, if I could, for discussion purposes, if I could have somebody move that, please. Thank you, Leanne. Seconded by Jim. Thank you. And with that, Sean, I believe that you have this.
You're muted, Sean.
Yeah, I clued in at the last second, but I wasn't there. So this property is over on Royal. I always get the two mixed up. One's Royal Crescent, one's Royal Place. There it is. So yeah, what happened is the people that live at 687 Royal Place came in to see me. What had happened was at some point in the past, this is a subdivision that has lasted, you know, it was built back in the 1950s, early 1960s. And it's not like they had done any recent construction on the property, but by doing a survey, they had realized that a small part of their property structure was actually on the neighbors. They came in to see me to see what are some of the solutions that could be done. And as I advised them, if it was at all possible, they could sever off a small part of the property and then make it an adjoinement to their land. By taking a look at what had been prepared by the surveyor, it was obvious that they could not meet the setbacks that would normally be required with their zoning and leave the other property that's pre-existing, the people that are actually severing off a piece with the adequate setbacks. So basically what they did is they cut as much off as they could to get the whole structure on to 687 Royal Place, while at the same time leaving 733 in zoning compliance. So 687 still would not be in zoning compliance, but at least it would get the structure on their entire property. So the gentleman took it with him, went and seen the neighbor and him did agree that 687 could act as the applicant. And basically that's what you see in front of you now. So I have provided, the survey is there too, is it not? Or no? No, the survey is not, but they had submitted the plan showing the small sliver coming off and being added to it. When I'm talking small, I'm talking something that starts at 0, widens out to about 4 feet, and then goes back to 0 again. It's literally just a sliver along the one side of the property to get the whole house on their property once this lot of severance is done and added to the other lot. So that would be, I'm not sure who's all on this call. I'm not sure if opponents with us tonight or not. I'm not seeing them with us. So I had told them I didn't know that there was much that, they could add to it. And that's my report.
Thank you very much, Sean. Jim or Leanne, do you have any questions for Mr. Millerman? Thank you, Jim. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Sean, I see on your map that was attached to the report where the house goes over looks like the property line. I'm going to say to the bottom of that same sketch, there's a garage and it looks like a patio structure. The garage, there's a line through the garage as well. I know that may not be the survey, so I guess I'm going to ask, is this the only property line infraction on that property, or is there another one?
That is correct. That is correct. I was worried about that shed as well when I saw the survey that was done up. No, it's well back, and that shed actually isn't. It was built probably 20 years ago, but it's fully on 687 Royal Place, and it meets the normal setbacks required for rear yard.
Thanks. I have no further questions, Chair.
Thank you. Leanne, are you satisfied with the report?
Yes, that was one of the questions that I was thinking of as well, but Jim and Sean cover that, so thank you.
Thank you. Sean, would it be my understanding then that once this is, that the two property owners agree it's going to be changed, approved at this level, would it then go to the registry office?
Yeah, that's the thing. They'll have to provide a registry office for both properties, not only for the one on Royal that's severing it, but the other one that's joining it to prove that they were matched properly, so that we don't end up with a sliver in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. Well, and
that's one of the conditions of the thing, that both properties get registered.
Right. Okay. I understand that better now. That's great. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Anybody from the audience wanting an opportunity to speak on this? Okay. With that being not the case, the call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. All good. Carried. Thank you. Moving along to the second item, 5.2. In regards to 392 Edward Street, the old Lamar Lux site, recommendation is as follows: that the Planning Advisory Committee recommend that Council adopt a zoning bylaw amendment under Section 34 of the Planning Act to remove the special exemption core commercial CC1 on property 392 Edward Street to allow for all uses as noted in the core commercial CC zone in the town of Prescott. For discussion, can I have somebody move that recommendation, please? Thank you, Leanne. Seconded by Jim. Thank you, Jim. And Matthew, no, sorry, Sean, excuse me. I believe that's yours.
Not a problem. Thank you, Chair. Yes, a building permit for this property was submitted to the department on August 10th to increase the number of dwelling units within the structure at 392 Edward Street from 2 to 6 units. Through the review process, it was noted that this is a heritage property of interest only. It's not designated, just interest. Building permit or the change to the zoning does not have an impact on the property of interest designation. When applying for the building permit application, to the zoning bylaw, it showed that while the request would normally be allowed in the core commercial now, at the time when it was first granted the special exception, it would not have been allowed to have residential on the main floor. And that's basically why the special exception was done, to allow not more than 3 residential on the main floor, basically there. The applicant was notified on October 1st about this, and an application was submitted requesting a zoning bylaw amendment to remove the special exception. And this is fairly similar to like 555 King Street, where we had the special exception on the commercial waterfront. Same thing. We're just taking the special exception off the property and allowing it to go back to the zoning it was historically and was planned for, which is commercial. The application was circulated to all town departments, and to date, the only concern expressed was in relation to the parking capability. and traffic flow of the lot onto Edward Street. The property was posted and notification was sent to all affected parties on November 12th, 2021. The notice was also posted on the town's website and in the local print media. One concern was received regarding the property zoning amendment via a phone call. But once it was explained to the people, the person has not called back, and that was as of the writing of this report. And I also received another phone call earlier today. Again, once it was explained what it was, they had indicated that they had no further interest or concerns at this time. They were concerned, both of them were concerned that possibly there'd be large additions built onto this property at this time, which is not the case. So when a zoning bylaw is considered, the first point to contemplate, of course, is the proposed zoning change. Does it any way circumvent or invalidate the town's official plan? Although the official plan is not a specific bylaw per se of the town, it is certainly the guiding document that we use to determine if the community is going to create the community in which the town desires. So the zoning bylaw analysis, so we took a look at this. Is residential allowed in this area? Would it be allowed in the commercial core in this area? And the answer is yes, because it is in the commercial core, but not on King Street and not between Edward and George Street. It is allowed to be a building of entirely residential construction. So it actually increases the ability for the town to produce more units for residential use, which again is something that the official plan contemplates and desires. So like I said, the vision of the town and the related guiding principles are in there out of the official plan. And it says we will value and preserve our as-built heritage, which this is. It's using a heritage building of interest and providing it with, increased lifespan. And it's development to generate residential, recreational, environmental, and economic opportunities. And it's respectful of the private and the public acts. So like I said, it really does hit Prescott's guiding principles that are found in the official plan. Goals that are related to this sort of project that are also in the official plan is to support a diverse range of housing types. So some of these apartments are fairly large. The two that are already in it are fairly large, but the new ones being built will actually either be bachelor or a single bedroom, which increases the ability of affordability. And it gives a whole broad range. So like I said, the two of the apartments in it are fairly large. These other ones are going to be more modest. And the nice thing is each of the apartments that are being generated will actually have their own access. It's not like they're going to have to be inside and fire escapes like that. Each one will have their own access to the exterior. In fact, that's the extent of the construction that will be done, is to make sure that access can be granted to each of the units individually. It's got to be supper time. So anyways, so this will encourage residential intensification closer to the downtown, which we have been doing more and more lately. And it doesn't actually affect any of the services, because the services that are already going by the door are capable of supporting this structure. So in general, staff is very supportive of it. We would like to point out the removal of this condition and the returning of the zoning to core commercial for this property. Staff will note with the applicant, with this application, that this change to zoning and zoning does not relieve the applicant from any other planning requirements. So if it was found that, it was over the intensification, which it wasn't at this point, or if it was found to have an issue with either parking or whatnot, it would not change the requirement of the applicant to get any other zoning, like planning permissions. And some of the stuff that may come up would be possibility of site plan control for this application, although, that's separate from this consideration. So staff is recommending that the special zoning be removed from the zoning bylaw. That was based on it, and go back to commercial core. I do see that the applicant is on the line with us. It's Mr. Elliot Mold. And that is my report, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Merriman. With that, committee member Jim Hutton or Leanne Burton, any questions or concerns for Mr. Merriman or possibly the owner online? Sorry, Leanne, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do like the fact that it's going to be smaller units. That's going to be affordable. I think that's important to recognize that. And I have no problem with the application and the 6 units going in there. I think it's fabulous, and wish the owner good luck.
Thank you, Leanne. Jim, if you would.
Thank you, Chair. I just have one question for Sean. Sean, is there any reason, or do you know the reason that the 3 units, it was limited to 3 units for the entire building back when the CC1 was put on?
From what I was able to determine, it was done quite a while ago, and the concern that from everything I found, I was concerned that the main floor would turn into all residential, because it really, when you look at it, it looks like it's a house. And I think it was because they were trying to balance the rights of the developer to have both commercial and residential in the building on the main floor than it was necessarily anything else. But that's all I've been able to find. It's the special exception 1. It's been in there, like I say, a long time. So the CAO, Matthew, may have something more to add to it, but that's all I could really find, is that it appeared to be they were trying to balance, because at the time when it was granted, technically there wasn't supposed to be any residential in their main floor or not on the main floor. And like I said, I think there was a worry about that.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Just a couple comments myself. In a lot of what Councillor Burton said, it's great to have more residential development. That should become everybody's concern in every municipality. So that's wonderful. That's definitely a pro. Will there be any kind of pushback by the Heritage Committee, you think, Sean?
Well, you got to remember, it's a heritage building of interest only. Heritage buildings of interest are if Mr. Mold or any owner came in and wanted to demolish the building. At that point, they would be informed, and then they would have a decision to make whether or not they'd recommend that it's increase to designation. In this case, I have seen the plans that were submitted. There is no demolition to the existing features of the heritage structure. And I will be encouraging Mr. Mold to consider it being listed as a designated property of heritage. But again, that would be up to Mr. Mold to decide if he's seen some benefits to it. I'm sure he'd consider it, but at this point, I have not heard one answer one way or the other if he has any intention of taking it to a full designation versus just a property of interest.
Okay, thank you. Just if you would like, Mr. Mullen, not that you have to by any means, but if you want a minute to speak on this report, you may do so.
Okay, thank you. Well, typically, I guess I could use this time to plead my case, but it looks like we're doing okay. I will say that this is my first endeavor of this size, and I was looking for a project. I think I found a big one, but I'm excited for it. I'm also happy with the support that I've been given from the town, dealing with Sean, also in conversations with Dana as well, have been all very positive. And I'm hoping that this is sort of one of many projects once this one gets rolling, I hope to find more similar projects, whether it be fully residential or some commercial and residential as those opportunities come up. Yeah, I think that Prescott's sort of where I would like to spend my time and my focus. I have some properties a little west from there as well, and things don't seem to be as encouraged. So I would like to go where people seem excited about it. So yeah, so no, it's been great so far, and thank you very much. And I look forward to. I'm hoping to provide clean, upscale, safe places to live. There's a lot of parking there, so I'm not going to be having any concerns with not enough parking. I know that's a big consideration for sure. And yeah, they'll look very nice. Anything that the town wants to be involved with, if you'd like to, have updates of the work or the progress or what the finished units look like or something like that, I'm more than happy to be a part of that. I will not be changing the exterior of the home except for some entrances. So the stonework, all that stuff will remain the same, and any required work over time to maintain the work and the mason work and stuff like that will definitely be upheld. So that's all I have.
Very good. Well, thank you for investing into our town. Very much appreciated. And you have a beautiful building.
Thank you.
It's one of our nicer ones, in my
Good.
opinion. I'm sure everybody shares that opinion. So anyway, thank you very much. With that, if the committee would vote, please, all in favor? Great. Thank you. Carried. Nice to meet you, Mr. Mole.
Nice to meet you as well. I'll sign off now. Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good meeting. Bye-bye.
Moving to our last item, recommendation is in regards to the Blacks Creek site on Development Drive. And it reads that the Plan Advisory Committee recommend that council approve the proposed site plan application SPC 2021-3, subject to the following conditions. The balance of outstanding taxes, penalties, and interest shall be paid to the town, that the site agreement of the lands shall be registered and submitted to the town. For discussion, could I have somebody move that, please? Thank you, Leanne. Second by Jim. Thank you. And Matthew, this one's yours.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So we're very pleased to bring this one forward to Planning Advisory this evening. The address will be 355 Development Drive, and it's just a little ways down past the OPP. So this is one of our new developments that we are coming to fruition on Development Drive, and I think if you were to go and visit them today, you'll see a little bit of movement in terms of footings and whatnot. So this particular development involves the construction of a 561 square meter building. It will contain a workshop, retail area, and office space. It's light industrial use, and it's for the fabrication of firewood processing equipment. The application was received on June 1st. Then we had to go through a number of iterations in terms of the reports and the analysis to make sure that we caught everything. And now we're able to bring that forward. One of the things that, because of its location to the 401, then MTO has to approve the development permit. They have a separate process. And so that was one of the reasons why we were waiting until that was passed so that we could bring the very final of each of the studies and whatnot to Planning Advisory and have those make sure that they're peer reviewed. So from WSP's perspective, the development application meets the official plan requirements, and no modifications or amendments to the official plan are required. From the zoning perspective, there was really only the three items that they highlighted. The first was the loading space, and that the dimensions were missing on the site plan. Those were added, and we find that it now meets the requirements. The other was garbage storage. There was none noted external onto the building. The applicant has confirmed that they'll be keeping the garbage internal to the building, and we have no issue with that from the town's perspective. And finally, servicing that approvals need to be provided by the Ministry of Environment, and the applicant is getting their necessary approvals from Ministry of Environment. So those were kind of the three things that were outstanding from a planning perspective. All of those have been satisfied. So then MTO has now issued the building and land use permit as of November 4th. And then we reviewed a number of development reports, including the exterior photometric plan, the traffic letter, the civil drawings for the site plan landscaping, grading plan, servicing plan, erosion and sediment plan, the stormwater management plan, and all of those after peer review have been accepted with no outstanding issues with them. So in our conclusion is that after having addressed all of the outstanding items, that it satisfies all of the requirements of both the official plan and zoning bylaw, as well as the site plan control requirements. And so therefore we're bringing it forward this evening for contemplation. There is the proposed site plan that has been attached. It's, as you can see, the vast majority of the development is on the north side of the property. So this particular property sits south of Development Drive, but the vast majority of the development will be towards the roadway on Development Drive. And there's a fair number of trees that will still be maintained towards the 401. And you can see exactly where they're putting their septic as well as their delivery and laneways and whatnot. So that's what we put forward in front of you this evening, and more than happy to answer any questions there might be.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Questions for Matthew regarding his report? Matthew, I have, well, just a comment. Great that it's progressing, and a site plan is definitely a huge step. It's nice that the Ministry of Transportation didn't seem to be an issue with it, which is sometimes has been the case historically. So so that's wonderful. It might mean for future projects a nice start, right? A nice new practice.
Absolutely. So MTO was very helpful throughout this process. This particular development is a low traffic generator, and so certainly no major concerns from that perspective. And we certainly appreciate them working with the developer and the town to move the process forward.
Wonderful. It's all great news. Any other questions or discussion?
No, I was happy with the report, and I was happy that MTO stepped up and helped us out too. So that's good.
Good stuff. Okay. Call all in favor? Perfect. Thank you. And that's carried. Congratulations. That's exciting. And so moving right along on this agenda is number 6, new business. If anybody has any new business they want to bring up at this time? No? Okay. And then the last but not least is number 7, adjournment. So that means we can all have supper. Your supper, thank you, Liam. Moved, second by Jim. I think perfect. Thank you. And all in favor? And just before everybody runs off, thank you so much for this time. It's always so appreciated. And thank you for your time, and all 3 staff reports were wonderful. Have a good evening.